We often think wealth is about money, but wealth starts in the mind long before it shows in the bank account. A poor mindset says, "I cannot afford it." A rich mindset asks, "How can I afford it?" One shuts the door, the other opens possibilities. Consistency is the bridge between mindset and reality. Imagine a farmer. If he plants a seed today and digs it out tomorrow to see if it's growing, nothing will ever flourish. But if he waters it daily with patience, one day that small seed turns into a tree that feeds generations. The same is true with your habits. A poor mindset looks for quick fixes, shortcuts, overnight success. A rich mindset understands that lasting success comes only through consistent effort, even when no one is clapping. Your thoughts shape your choices. Your choices repeated daily shape your future. A poor mindset complains, blames, and waits for luck. A rich mindset takes responsibility, learns, adapts, and acts again tomorrow with the same discipline as today. Consistency is not about intensity, it's about persistence. It's about doing what matters even when motivation fades. Think of water dripping on a rock. One drop seems powerless. But over time, when we hear the word rich or poor, most people immediately think about money, cars, houses, or bank accounts. But the truth is richness and poverty begin much earlier than money ever arrives. They begin in the silent thoughts you entertain in your mind. Before money sits in your wallet, it sits in your beliefs. Before opportunities show up at your doorstep, they show up in your perspective. That is why some people with very little money are already rich, and some with a lot of money remain poor. The real wealth or poverty lives in the way you think. A poor mindset has one recurring dialogue. I can't do this. I can't afford that. I can't become that. It is a voice that constantly shuts the door before the journey even begins. This mindset does not see possibilities. It only sees limitations. It looks at the mountain and says too high to climb. It looks at the dream and says too far to reach. And sadly, once you convince your mind that you can't, your entire body, your effort, and your future will agree with you. On the other hand, a rich mindset has a very different dialogue. It asks, how can I? How can I achieve this? How can I afford that? How can I become better? Do you see the difference? The poor mindset shuts the door before entering the room, while the rich mindset finds a way to open even locked doors. The poor mindset says, I can't buy this. The rich mindset says, what can I do differently so that I can buy this? The poor mindset says, I can't succeed in this career. The rich mindset says, what skills do I need to learn so I can succeed? One mindset stops at the problem, the other searches for a solution. Imagine two students in a classroom. Both are given a tough question. The first student says, this is impossible. I will never solve it. The second student says, this is tough, but there must be a way to figure it out. Both have the same challenge, but one has already lost before trying, and the other has already created a possibility. Who do you think will succeed in life? The one who keeps asking how. Instead of saying, I can't. The mindset you carry is like the lens of your glasses. If your lens is colored with negativity, you will see darkness everywhere, even on the brightest day. If your lens is colored with possibility, you will see light even in difficult situations. This is why two people can experience the same hardship, but one breaks down while the other breaks through. It's not the situation that decides, it's the mindset. Let me share a story. There were two brothers born into the same poor family. Their father was addicted to alcohol. Their house was broken, and they had very little to eat. One brother grew up to be just like the father, addicted, broken, and blaming the world. The other brother grew up to be successful, disciplined, and wealthy. When asked, why did you become like this? Both brothers gave the same answer, because of my father. One used his circumstances as an excuse. The other used his circumstances as a reason. The same environment but different mindset and therefore completely different destinies. This is the power of how you think. If your thoughts are chained by doubt, fear, and negativity, you will always remain trapped no matter how many opportunities are around you. But if your thoughts are driven by courage, possibility, and growth, you will find doors opening even in the darkest alleys of life. Now, here is something important to understand. Having a rich mindset does not mean ignoring reality. If you don't have money in your pocket, pretending that you do will not change your life. A rich mindset is not about living in illusion. It is about asking the right questions, taking responsibility, and creating a way forward. It is about saying, yes, I may not have it today, but what can I do differently so I can have it tomorrow? It is about refusing to be stuck in victimhood and instead choosing to become the author of your story. You see, the poor mindset spends time complaining, life is unfair, the system is rigged, people don't support me, nothing ever works out, and while it may feel good in the moment to complain, it never changes anything. Complaining is like rocking a chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't take you anywhere. On the other hand, the rich mindset asks, what can I learn from this? What can I change? What can I do differently next time? It does not waste energy on blame. It invests energy in solutions. Think about the word responsibility. Break it down. It means responsibility. The ability to choose your response. The poor mindset reacts. The rich mindset responds. When something goes wrong, the poor mindset reacts with blame, anger, or self-pity. The rich mindset pauses, reflects, and responds with action, growth, and learning. That is the true difference between being stuck and moving forward. Let's take another example. Imagine two people lose their jobs. The one with a poor mindset says, this is the end. I will never find another job. Life is cruel. Days turn into weeks and they fall deeper into despair. The one with a rich mindset says, this is tough, but maybe this is a chance to upgrade my skills, try something new, or even start something of my own. The situation is the same, but the outcome will be entirely different because of the mindset they carry. The truth is life will always give you problems. Nobody is free from challenges, but your mindset will decide whether those problems become your prison or your platform. A poor mindset will trap you in fear, but a rich mindset will turn problems into stepping stones. So, how do we cultivate a rich mindset? By paying attention to the words we use. The words I can't should be replaced with, how can I? Every time you catch yourself saying this is not possible, stop and ask, what is one small step I can take? Small questions lead to big breakthroughs. The mind works like a GPS. If you keep feeding it negative destinations, it will take you there. But if you feed it questions, possibilities, and positive directions, it will start guiding you towards solutions. Another way to develop a rich mindset is by surrounding yourself with people who think abundantly. If you sit with people who always complain, you will learn the language of complaint. If you sit with people who always talk about growth, you will learn the language of possibility. Your environment feeds your mindset, and your mindset feeds your destiny. And remember, mindset is not about where you are right now. It's about where you choose to go. Many great people in history came from humble beginnings. They did not start with wealth, but they started with a wealth of belief. They started with the courage to ask, how can I? They started with the refusal to accept defeat as the final word, and that is why they created legacies. Think about Thomas Edison. He failed thousands of times before creating the light bulb. A poor mindset would have stopped after the first failure and said, I can't. But his rich mindset said, how can I make this work? And because of that, today we all enjoy light in our homes. Mindset is like soil. If you plant seeds of doubt and fear, your life will grow weeds. If you plant seeds of hope, courage, and creativity, your life will grow fruit. You cannot control the weather, but you can control what seeds you plant. So today, ask yourself, what kind of mindset am I carrying? Do I shut the door before I even start, or do I look for keys to open it? Do I live in excuses, or do I live in solutions? Do I see problems as dead ends, or do I see them as opportunities to grow? The answers to these questions will tell you whether you are truly rich or truly poor. Because in the end, richness is not about the size of your house, but the size of your vision. It's not about the money in your bank, but the belief in your heart. And poverty is not about what you lack. It's about what you refuse to believe is possible. So, choose carefully. A poor mindset will keep you where you are. A rich mindset will take you where you dream to be. And the choice is always in your hands. Consistency is the secret that transforms an ordinary life into an extraordinary one. People often believe that success comes from one big moment, one giant opportunity, or one lucky break. But in reality, it is not the loud explosions of effort that create greatness. It is the quiet and steady rhythm of discipline. It is the simple repeated actions done again and again, even when no one is watching, that build a future worth living. Think of a farmer. He plants a seed in the soil. The next morning he does not wake up and expect a tree. He does not dig the soil every day to see whether the roots are growing. Instead, he waters it patiently, daily, consistently. Weeks pass and he still sees nothing. Months pass and perhaps only a small sprout appears. But with faith and persistence, the day comes when that tiny seed becomes a strong tree bearing fruits. That tree was not created by one day of hard work. It was created by months and years of consistency. This is how life works. A poor mindset looks for instant results. It wants success today, rewards tomorrow, and recognition immediately. And when it doesn't see results quickly, it gives up. It starts another project, another habit, another idea, always beginning, never continuing. This is why the poor mindset remains poor. It is rich in excitement, but bankrupt in persistence. A rich mindset, on the other hand, understands that great things take time. It is patient. It is steady. It knows that small steps taken every day are far more powerful than giant leaps taken once in a while. Think of water. A single drop seems powerless, but when that drop falls in the same place over and over again, it can carve valleys and even shape mountains. The strength was never in the single drop. It was in its consistency. The same is true of your habits. Reading for 10 minutes every day will educate you more than reading for 10 hours once in a year. Exercising a little every day will build more health than running a marathon once in your life. Saving a small amount regularly will create more wealth than waiting for one huge windfall. But here is the challenge. Consistency is not exciting. Starting something new always feels exciting. You feel energy, motivation, hope, but after a few days the excitement fades. That's when most people quit, and here lies the secret. Success begins not when you start, but when you continue after the excitement has faded. Motivation can start the engine, but only consistency drives the journey. Look at the bamboo tree. When you plant its seed for years, you see nothing. No sprout, no sign of life. You water it daily. You care for it, but the soil remains silent. Then suddenly, in just a few weeks, the bamboo shoots up several feet high. Did it grow overnight? No. It was growing silently underground, building roots, preparing itself, and when the time was right, all the consistent care burst into visible growth. This is the story of every great achievement, years of unseen effort followed by sudden visible success. The world will call it overnight success, but you will know it was years of consistency. Consistency is also about trust. People don't trust those who show up once and disappear. They trust those who show up again and again. A teacher becomes respected not by teaching once, but by showing up daily for students. A business grows not by impressing customers once, but by serving them consistently. A relationship becomes strong not by saying I love you once, but by showing love every day in small actions. The poor mindset often asks how long will it take? The rich mindset asks, how far can I go if I never stop? One is counting days, the other is building legacies. Let's take an example. Imagine two people decide to get fit. The first runs 5 miles one day, eats healthy for a week, and then gets tired, bored, or distracted. He sees little change and gives up. The second runs just 1 mile every day, eats moderately better, and stays consistent for months. Who do you think will be healthier a year later? It is obvious. The winner is not the one who did the most in a week, but the one who did a little every day for a year. Consistency is not glamorous. It is often boring, repetitive, and unnoticed. But it is the backbone of transformation. Ask any athlete who wins medals. Ask any artist who creates masterpieces. Ask any entrepreneur who builds a company. Behind their success is not just talent, but a routine, repeated actions, disciplined habits, and the refusal to quit. Remember, consistency is not perfection. You don't have to be flawless. Missing one day does not ruin your journey. Falling once does not erase your effort. What matters is that you get back up and continue. Success does not belong to those who never fall. It belongs to those who always rise again. The poor mindset uses failure as an excuse to quit. The rich mindset uses failure as fuel to try again. Even nature teaches us this principle. The sun rises every day, the tides move with rhythm, seasons change without fail. Imagine if the sun decided to rise only when it felt motivated. The entire world would collapse. Life itself is consistent. That is why everything grows. If you want to grow, you too must learn the discipline of consistency. So here is a simple truth. Success is not about intensity, it is about consistency. Anyone can be intense for a day, few can be consistent for years, but it is the few who change their lives and often change the world. Think of your own life. Where have you been inconsistent? Maybe in your health, your learning, your relationships, or your spiritual practices. Now think, what if you just did one small action every single day for the next year? How much could your life transform? The answer will always surprise you. So do not underestimate small steps. Do not despise boring routines. Do not wait for perfect conditions. Begin, continue, repeat day after day, and trust the invisible power of consistency. Because it is this quiet power that builds empires, shapes character, strengthens faith, and turns ordinary people into extraordinary leaders. And remember, you do not have to do everything today. You just have to do something today and then repeat it tomorrow. Let time multiply your effort. Let patience become your strength. Let consistency be your secret weapon. Because in the end, those who stay consistent will always outrun those who only run with bursts of excitement. Your life is waiting to be shaped. Your dreams are waiting to be realized. Your future is waiting to be written. Pick up the pen of consistency and write your story, one page at a time, every single day. Wealth begins within. This is a truth that most people ignore because they believe wealth is only about what can be counted. Money in the bank, cars in the driveway, houses with shining walls. But the real richness of life does not begin with what you hold in your hand. It begins with what you carry in your heart and mind. If you are empty inside, no amount of money outside can fill you. But if you are rich within, even simple things will feel like treasures. Think for a moment. Why do some people have everything but still feel poor? They own wealth, but they lack peace. They buy comfort, but they cannot buy sleep. They achieve fame, but they are strangers to joy. Their bank account is full, but their hearts are bankrupt. On the other hand, there are people with very little money who walk with a smile, live with gratitude, share with others, and sleep peacefully at night. What is the difference? The difference is not in what they own, but in who they are. A poor mindset defines wealth only as possessions. It says, when I have more, I will be rich. It waits for happiness to come after buying the next thing, after reaching the next goal, after achieving the next status. But that day never comes, because true wealth is not something you chase. It is something you cultivate. A rich mindset knows that wealth is first about character, wisdom, gratitude, and responsibility. Money can be earned, lost, and earned again, but a wealthy inner life filled with faith, courage, kindness, and discipline cannot be stolen. Let me share a story. Once there was a king who was very wealthy but always restless. He invited a wise sage and asked, "How can I find peace? I have everything yet I feel poor." The sage smiled and said, "Give me one day in your palace." The king agreed. The sage walked through the palace without touching anything. At the end of the day, he told the king, "Your palace is filled with gold, but your heart is filled with worry. Your treasures are on the outside, but your emptiness is on the inside. Shift your wealth inward. Fill yourself with gratitude, discipline, and purpose. Then even without gold you will be rich." The king was silent because he realized the truth. Wealth within is not about ignoring money. Money is important. It provides comfort, opportunities, and safety. But money without inner wealth becomes a curse. When a poor mindset gets money, it often misuses it, chasing pleasure, comparing with others, or wasting it. But when a rich mindset gets money, it multiplies it not only in material value, but in impact, generosity, and legacy. This is why some people with little money can create big change while others with a fortune can create nothing but problems. So what are the true riches of the inner life? Let's explore. The first is gratitude. A grateful person is always rich. They see every breath as a gift, every meal as a blessing, every friendship as wealth. Gratitude transforms not enough into more than enough. The poor mindset always focuses on what is missing and therefore always feels empty. The rich mindset focuses on what is present and therefore always feels abundant. If you want to feel instantly wealthy, count your blessings instead of your complaints. The second is wisdom. Money can buy books, but not wisdom. Wisdom comes from reflection, from learning, from experience, from guidance. Wisdom helps you manage wealth when it comes, and it protects you from poverty when it leaves. A person with wisdom can turn even little resources into growth, while a person without wisdom can waste even millions. This is why the foundation of inner wealth must be knowledge, learning, and humility to keep growing. The third is character. True wealth lies in honesty, discipline, compassion, and integrity. Think of it this way. If you have money but people cannot trust your word, are you truly rich? If you are powerful but cannot control your anger, are you truly rich? If you can buy the world but cannot master yourself, what have you really achieved? The rich mindset invests first in character because character sustains everything else. And the fourth is purpose. When you live for only yourself, your life feels small no matter how much you own. But when you live for a purpose greater than yourself, your life feels abundant. Purpose is the currency of the soul. It is what gives meaning to your effort, direction to your journey, and joy to your heart. A poor mindset chases money without purpose and ends up feeling lost. A rich mindset chases purpose and often finds money following as a byproduct. Now think about consistency, which we spoke of earlier. Consistency in outer habits builds results, but consistency in inner habits builds wealth within. Daily gratitude, daily reflection, daily acts of kindness, daily self-discipline. These small actions compound into a heart so rich that no misfortune can make it poor. When storms come, the person with inner wealth may lose possessions, but they never lose peace. And from that peace they rise again. Remember this. Wealth outside can be stolen, but wealth inside can never be taken. A thief can rob your house, but not your gratitude. A market crash can erase your savings, but not your wisdom. Circumstances can shake your life, but not your character. And death can end your body, but not your purpose. This is why inner wealth is the only True wealth, so ask yourself today, am I rich inside? Do I carry gratitude in my heart, wisdom in my mind, discipline in my actions, and purpose in my soul? Or am I only chasing numbers, possessions, and titles? Because if you become wealthy within, you will never be poor again, no matter what life takes away. True richness begins not when you acquire, but when you appreciate, not when you compete, but when you create. Not when you possess, but when you give. And when you learn to build this wealth inside, the outer wealth you gain will not control you. Instead, you will use it to serve, to uplift, and to create light for others. So today, shift your focus. Don't just work on your bank account, work on your mindset. Don't just collect things, collect wisdom. Don't just chase status, chase purpose. Because in the end, the greatest riches are not measured in dollars, but in depth, not in what you have, but in who you become. And when you are truly rich within, life itself will bow to your wealth. Consistent drops carve valleys and shape mountains. Your life is the rock. Your daily actions are the drops. Whether you carve a path of progress or erosion depends on the quality of your mindset and the consistency of your actions. So ask yourself today, do I think like a victim or a creator? Do I give up when it's hard, or do I show up again tomorrow? Success is not a secret. It's simply the daily practice of the right mindset. And remember, being rich is not about what you own, it's about what you grow within. Be consistent, be patient, and let your rich mindset turn your small steps into giant leaps.